little bit of different tack on, before we sort of get into the nitty gritty of how you manage your finances better. And hopefully we're just having this conversation in that little breakout room that we'll talk about strategy. So this might be what we're going to cover off in a minute. It might be able to help you get your mind and aligned and clear on it. And if you've got business partners, it might be good. So Liam, thank you for the next slide. So a lot of people would say, start with why. We're taking a step back. We're taking a big helicopter view, and what we're going to cover off overall is I sort of look at it as like a funnel. So the funnel is really the big part at the start, and this is where the big part is, and then we're sort of going to come into the detail where you trickle out. So let's start with why. A lot of people might mentally groan, oh God, here we go, he's going to preach about about your purpose and your vision, but it is true, and I'll give some examples specifically that we've done in our own business where Mark, I and a few of our senior people, as you can see in the banner behind me, we started with our why. It took us a good it took us about a week to actually sort of get the phrase all done and dusted. Now, it's a vision statement, it's a purpose, a why, you can call it whatever you want. So it's about why you get into business. And if you start with that, then you can start to look about how you have that strategy and work about how you achieve your financial goals. And our why is at MKS Group is to inspire, educate and coach our community in partnership to strive to achieve their financial goals. And I might not say it perfectly every time, but essentially that's our vision and that's our why. Simon Sinek is very famous in his space, and I'm sure everyone might have heard of him, and I'm not trying to sort of push him down on you, but he's got that, William, can you just press enter for me? He's got that famous saying about people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Now, we was having a really good conversation in the breakout room just then about, the strategy around, Nat was saying to us that, she's meeting the clients with her staff for the first time. It's giving the clients that stability, that comfort, that security that there's someone there with them. It's not just this person that's coming to their home. And that's part of their why. It's part of their makeup. They're part of their DNA, if you want to call it. So, so what we have done in our own business, and we've done with others, and what we suggest to you is why do you get out of bed every morning? And why do you do what you do? And then how do you do it in terms of your values? What do you stand for? We've got there, what is your BHAG? And that's got nothing to do with that, with elderly people or anything like that. It's big, hairy, audacious goal. What do you want to achieve? Is it to be the best service provider in the Northwest region? Is it to be the best apparel brand out there? It's about what is your biggest and most hairiest goal that you're going to try to achieve, and how do you document it? In terms of the values, how do you do what you do? One of our values is everyone gets stuck in. And it's not a pretty statement, but it's a true statement. Last 18 months, that example I gave at the start of our session about, Mark giving us leadership and calling our team together at, in an early evening setting, to say, how are we going to achieve what we need to do with our clients? Everyone got stuck in. That's our values that we have. So, and then we talk about what are our core competencies. Again, if I could lean on the breakout room, we just had an exercise. If you've got business partners, some have different strengths and weaknesses, and so it's how do you maybe spread those responsibilities in your business and your core competence, but also what is your business really good at, and what does it look like? and a SWOT. So, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Again, we've spent a lot of time in our own business doing this. Mark can attest to it. When we were able to travel, we would spend every quarter in a different location, he and I, and we would not only we would meet up with other accountants around Australia, but we would also look at our business. We would spend a whole day just focusing on what we're doing. So that's sort of what we're sort of saying here is we've got to take a step back and start with the big picture and why we're doing things. Thanks, Liam. And then we started to sort of look at, what are driving your business? What's driving your business? What are your KPIs and what are your critical success factors? We've spoken about this or mentioned it. Colin's mentioned it about a few times now. But what drives your business? And for each business, it's different. If you're in service, customer service, or if you sell a product, or you're in retail, you're in hospitality, there are different types of drivers to your business. And then that could be the number of inquiries, that could be the number of tables you turn over, and all that kind of stuff. The key performance indicators. What are the key metrics of your business? We've worked really hard in our own business to ensure that we know these KPIs all the time. Mark and I, at 7:30 every morning, get the key figures in our business, and it's all automated. So we've been able to do that in our own business, and we're helping clients achieve that same result. And so we've got our finger on the pulse without actually having to do any sort of analytical stuff. And then we know, are we tracking well, or do we need to make some adjustments to make that happen? Mark, I think you wanted to say something there.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in there and just comment on that report that we get at 7:30 every morning. The other thing that's not unusual is for me to flick a message to Michael, especially in the last 5 weeks that I haven't been at work, saying, WTF, what's happening with this? Why is productivity either going out of control, or why is productivity going down so low? And I'll often get a response of, you're supposed to be resting, you're not supposed to be working, but you just can't help it when you're a business owner. And the point I'm trying to get across is that you need to keep your finger on the pulse at all times. Just in my conversation with Asha in the breakout room earlier, where she went from zero to hero in a very short period of time, selling jewellery in a couple of shopping centres, one right outside our office and in Moonee Ponds, and also at High Point, and now she's coming back to Moonee Ponds, back to the best part of the world. But I think what Asha needs to do is to start setting herself some goals. And she's in a new business, it's in retail, it's online, it's offline. She's going to have, 7 to 10 team members, already got 7. It'll probably need to increase at some point, but you need to have the goals, you need to have the drivers. So what actually do you want to achieve in your business? But not just that, how are you going to achieve them? Yeah. And they're the critical success factors. So what are the factors that actually are going to influence your KPIs? Absolutely. Sorry, Michael, I had to
No, thanks. I appreciate it.
So I need to go and stretch my legs very soon. I can't hear any for much longer.
No problem. And look, I'll give you a little example of a friend of our firm, not because we use him, but he's a liquidator. He's a very gentle giant, Shane. And this is pre-COVID, before the word COVID even was in existence. He and his business partner were able to double their business, leading, we're talking probably about 3 years ago. And one of their key, drivers was, or success factors was essentially how many catch-ups they had per week. And those catch-ups were with the right people. So they were with referral partners, so accountants, lawyers. And it doesn't necessarily mean that something will come out of that straight away, but they were able to double their business just by getting out there, and it could be just a coffee catch up, could be a phone call, and they had how many touch points I think was their number. For us, we look at how many jobs go out, because that drives a lot of things in our business. It drives our lodgement statistics that we need to keep on top of with the ATO. It drives revenue. It drives a lot of things. So in terms of and there's a number of different things that what Mark was touching on, that number of tables turned over. If you're in jewelry sales, Asher, that it's is it the number of referral partners or partnerships you might have with others. So it is, again, this is about you stopping, looking at your business from a high level, and maybe working out some tweaks. Thanks, Liam.
Examples of critical success factors. I know there's a few people that we've got a number of clients in retail, and one of the drivers there is number of people that walk in the door. So they these days with the electronic doors and with Wi-Fi and everything else, you can actually start with there's a lot of intelligence out there that can give you data without you even having to try. And like Michael said earlier, we get automated reports at 7:30 every morning because we've got the power to do that with Power BI, which is what Michael's going to talk a bit about later on. But we're able to get this information, and you need to know where to get it from. Okay, you can't just assume. Actually, when you're at Minipron Central, I'm sure Hitomi or Doug were able to give you the number of people that entered the store, into the centre, through the doors where your store actually was in that mall. They were able to tell you how many people come through every day because they've got technology to be able to do that. And it's not just by how many times the door opens and closes either. They've got a lot more sophisticated technology. If you're in hospitality, it could be the number of times you use that table throughout the day. So how many sittings do you have? Do you turn it over once or twice or three times? If you're in a service industry like us, it's how many chargeable hours is a good factor. How many chargeable hours a day are your team producing? Not just chargeable hours, but also recovering. Yep. It's one thing to charge your time to a timesheet, but you've also got to be able to bill that to your client, and the client has to want to pay for it.
Yep. And some of those service industries and businesses as well, it's potentially how many new inquiries that you're getting, and yep. How are you attracting those inquiries, and then you got your KPI about converting those. So it extends out. So it starts with what drives your business, and then how do you actually convert that into new business or into business itself, or increase sales. So lifting your average spend with a customer could be one as well. So is one of your KPIs, but you need what are the factors that actually get you there. So on this slide, I think, Cole, did you have something there that you wanted to add?
Oh, look, I could go for half an hour on that because sales is my baby. But like if you think about, I do a whole lot of training in retail. Retail is about conversions and then upsell and cross sell. So that's just all about having that person that has the right mindset to enter into a conversation and meet and greet the customer and take them on a journey. And I think from a business to business point of view, it's all about pipeline. It's all about how many proposals you put out and how many lead generation. I'm all about lead generation, and where you get that from is not just one source; it's multiple sources.
Yeah.
So it surprises me how many businesses have don't ask for referrals. Referrals are the best form of lead you'll ever get. So how many? I'm very big on measuring all of our measures of lead generation, and we're very strong at that.
Yeah. Liam, can you just keep pressing enter there? This is sort of a bit of a flow of sort of how all these drivers and all these different factors of your business come together. And is it a product and service, or service, I should say? What are the marketing initiatives that you need to do? And some of those marketing initiatives don't necessarily have to cost a bomb. They could be as simple as just working out some referral partners. Like again, if you're in the legal industry, you might create some referral partners, maybe with real estate, accountants, sales and HR consultants. You know, you could do that. Then that sort of leads to your, you know, that converts to your sales. You got to fulfill it. Then you've got to actually deliver what you say you're going to do, you know, or deliver a product, yeah, and how you support your customers, you know, through that. So that's the sort of the life cycle, and helps to sort of visualize sort of those areas in your business, and they're pretty much prevalent in every business, just in different ways, and depending on if you're a sales or if you're in sales or if you're in you know, products, you know, or service, I should say, or products. So that's in your exercise book as well. So it's there for you to sort of take away and add some notes to your own business if you like. So which is good. But yeah, the BHAG, I just want to come back to that. Basically, all of that is about to force you to be that little bit better, or to intentionally give you some guidance. And you know, Mark and I in our business, our why, it's if you've ever been to our office, it's plastered on the walls. There's as you can see, I've just moved it now, but behind me we've got a pull-up banner. It's there to remind us. We may not necessarily do every aspect or live every of that aspect every day, but intentionally over the journey, if we look back, we've actually done what we set out we we're going to do, or what our vision is. And part of this today is about, you know, the coaching and inspiring and educating part of it. But we definitely want to work in partnership with our clients, and it's not just about how good are we, but I'll just give you an example of actually by putting it down, putting it in writing, putting it up on a wall, or putting it on a vision board, or whatever it might be. It actually helps you to live and breathe there. And if you reflect in time, you'll see that you've actually done it. By no means are we finished with our why. We want to continue it because it's proving to be fulfilling for us and successful. Right, budgets. So I think we've got a poll here just to mix it up. So Liam, can I just get you to put that up here? So quick yes or no. Well, it's on its way, I think. All right, have you done a budget for 21-22 in your business? Now, this was supposed to be in June. The original date was set for June for this session, but we find ourselves in August. So we might leave that in for a little while. Just a few more answers. All right, we'll close that off and just have a look at the results there, Liam. Oh, 63, that's good. It's promising. It's a, and yeah, there's a few of you that haven't. I guess the one thing is, again, I'm just going to sort of, the journey that I'm sort of trying to take you on right now is about the wines, the big part of the bucket of the funnel, and we're looking now, we're starting to get into the detail and the budget. So the budgets, once you sort of get your mind right on the why and the values, and I appreciate that you have to do this in conjunction, because you can't just stop your business and sit down and write all this stuff down. It is something that you've got to work along side by side. But the budgets, you know, as I said, we're in August now, and you need to sort of have an idea of where you're going. And Colin earlier on this morning spoke about, you know, what client centricity, and we sort of had to anticipate what clients want. When you're in business, you got to try and anticipate what they want or what they need. And we're going to try and budget how to do that. So, and how do we provide that as in our business? Now, it's very challenging. It's very challenging to get anywhere accuracy around budgets at the moment. You know, but I guess the message is, whenever, just because things are so erratic, and I use that word, you know, generously or without malice, but it is erratic. You know, Victoria was out of lockdown last week. We're in lockdown again this week, and so that sort of up and down doesn't bode well for budgets. I was speaking to a friend last night who runs, him and his wife run a small boutique hotel in the Ballerine Peninsula, and imagine them having completely full capacity in bookings. They're absolutely booked out. Lockdown hits, and they've got to reschedule all these bookings. But one thing that struck out to me, what he said last night, was that when Melbourne was open, we were shooting the lights out. Like we could not anticipate the amount of, we couldn't budget for the amount of income that was coming through. That it was like we were 75% up on pre-COVID times. So, and looking at a combination of things causing that, but it's an example that how you budgeting is important. But right now, I think you still need a plan, but right now you can't always get that very accurate. Some businesses can, because they're still doing what they're doing. I mean, I know IT businesses and service providers that have, again, similarly have just gone, have gone completely the other way. They've grown so big over the last 18 months, they couldn't budget for it, and they couldn't budget for the staff that they need to support that and rehire. So my suggestion is you might look pre-COVID, and you look at 2020 calendar year, and you try to mash together a budget that might work with the current information that you got at hand. And that's more for the people that haven't done their budget, the 38% I think it was that haven't done it. That's what I would probably be doing it. And then it's all good and well to do one and say tick that box, but you need to review it. And we've worked with Colin over the years, and he's he's really strong on getting budgets set, but not only just setting it, reviewing it with his team.
I think I have that in there. Like you can't manage what you can't measure, and I think in this, one of the things that's really important for people is when you've got a budget, you can switch. So budget is something to aim for. So long at the end of the day, what I care about is we actually hit the target that the company needs to hit. Right, so you might have some product line. So if you think about, what are your products and services, and they're set up in your budget, it's something to aim for. And if I can say it, if you get a run on something, which is like, for an example, it might be, I don't know, HR services or HR audit. If I use that, if we're going to run on HR, all of a sudden we get inquiries, we actually shift our entire marketing strategy to get more of that, because that's what seems to be what people do. So look, at the end of the day, like, you can't manage what you can't measure. You set yourself a budget, and I endorse MKS Group to help you do that, because when you know where you're going, it's very easy to to look at that and like, you need to know what is, I call it the baseline, the must-hit target to keep you in business, right? So, and if you employ staff, you need to know what that must-hit target is. Otherwise, you have no cash. So, So I think it's very important that that you have that. And I congratulate 63% that have actually done it. And if you haven't done it, then if you're building a plan, then you need to have those targets to go for. And it's not just about having a target to look at. It's the whole gamut of your business of getting your staff to have conversations around these products and then market to it as well. So if you're on a good run, then you stick to it. And, I can tell you this year, I was saying to Louisa before, like there's 25 grand of sales training that's gone out the window, right? So my budget is $4K a month, right? Which absolutely kills me, for this next 12 months. However, we smashed it last month, which you can't predict what's going on, but you just got to, you've got to know, you've got to know what you're aiming for. And that encompasses your whole strategy of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on a really key point there about cash flow, because part of reviewing these budgets is, at the end of the day, it filters down to what's in the bank account and can you meet your obligations. So we've seen a lot also happening in the space where employers or businesses are getting out of the cash is just drying up, and their obligations to, statutory obligations, whether it's to the ATO, whether it's for the employees, superannuation. We're seeing a lot of businesses having a little difficulty around that in the last 18 months. Likewise, we've seen the opposite as well for those businesses that have probably previously pre-COVID struggled with those things. Because their business has actually thrived in the last 18 months, they're actually all over it because of the cash flow, and they're budgeting, and they know what they're doing, and they can review it and measure it, and they can basically closely monitor their cash flow and be a lot more comfortable at night. It's not, it's very easy for me to say that when I'm not living it, but in a way, Mark, myself, Colin, and Lorraine are living that, in our own businesses. So we see the effects of where we don't execute on some of the things, or budget and understand what's going to happen, and review what's going on, because we'll feel it ourselves. So we're not immune to it. We actually see it transpire. And as Colin said, having a big chunk of training or revenue either pushed out or delayed or cancelled can really hurt. Not just now, but it can also hurt going forward. Thanks, Liam. So so the shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. Yet Norman Vincent Peale was a very, very positive thinker back in the 1900s, I think it was, and he was pretty big on, aim for something. Don't just aimlessly go about life. Aim for something. So, shooting for the moon, and you might land amongst the stars. That's pretty good, and it gives you some ability. Sometimes you'll overshoot your targets. Sometimes you'll fall short, but if you fall, in some cases, if you fall short a little bit, it's still a pretty good result, rather than not knowing where you're going to be heading. Thanks, Liam. So again, this is my journey here with you about, we've started big picture, we're getting a bit more detailed about budgets, but now we're looking at, well, how do we execute it? So it's all good in saying, how do we execute it? But you need a plan, and it's always good to say, oh, here's 50 document business plan. The reality is, people that do that 50-page document are not likely to revisit it very often. So we've developed a 90-day plan, and it's a one-page plan. And it's not to oversimplify it. It's about to put what is really critical in your business. And it's around focusing on 90 days. The next quarter, what can we do? Sometimes we've got to adjust it in the middle of that 90 days. In terms of it talks about covering what we've spoken about. It puts together on a page what your why is, what your values are, what are your beliefs, what are your competencies, your strengths, your weaknesses and opportunities. And this also helps you to not only as leaders in your business succeed and to execute your strategy, but it also helps to align your team. And I think we've covered a little bit of that this morning. Later on, we'll cover on that as well. I think Alison and Colin have got a bit more to come on teams and so forth. But the 90-day plan is about how does your business execute what you're trying to achieve. So from the vision, and thank you, Liam, you've got the, this is what it looks like. This is our IP that we've developed. But essentially, as you can see, it usually goes on an A3 piece of paper. A4 is just a touch too small. You can make it happen, but A3 is better. This could, this could be your business vision board, if you like, if you want to call it that. But your 90-day plan, sort of, it's focusing your attention and your activities for a quarter. and helps you galvanise your team. Which, you know, you can share this with your team. We absolutely encourage it. And as you can see, it also covers off our big, hairy, audacious goal, because you can see there, I know it's a little bit small, but where we want the business to be in 3 years' time, where we want it in 1 year time. So again, it's focusing the budget for 12 months, but also where we want to go in the future. And you look at all the different aspects of your business, you write it down on a page, and not only does it mentally cement for you, but you can easily translate this to your team. And we've put themes around it. So for the 90 days, in the past, we've done building. We've had our office decked out with building equipment like ladders, and ladders aren't necessarily all of it, but you know, we've had pieces of wood, hammers, try to deck it out, and it was all about building. And in that quarter, we were building to achieve, you know, certain goals and targets. We've had sprints or sprints around Spring Racing Carnival. You know, so Melbourne's pretty big with the Spring Racing Carnival. We've had that round, trying to sprint to the end of the financial year, the calendar year. So, leading up to the Spring Racing Carnival, so it gets everyone involved. We've decked out of office, and the team and the clients actually get involved in it as well. So, all right, thank you, Liam. Monitoring, I think we've covered on a little bit more here about, and Colin mentioned before, what's not managed doesn't get done. So again, you can use that in a different way. If you don't review things, if you don't plan, you're going to plan to fail. All those kind of terms. But monitoring is, you know, you should be doing it with your key stakeholders in your business. You know, if some of you are sole traders, then that's fine. Maybe your key stakeholders could be your spouse, or it could be external parties like an accountant or a lawyer or something like that that could help you keep you accountable. You need a meeting rhythm. So with your teams, you need a meeting rhythm. Our meeting rhythm is daily, weekly, and quarterly and annually. And one of the things that Mark mentioned before about or I mentioned also, but yeah, 7:30 we get the reports, we get the numbers, but every week we get the team together and we go through those numbers. Every day we actually get our team together and say, what are we going to achieve today? You know, what are we going to get done, and what things that we're stuck on. And and that's for every team member, new or old. Okay, and just a little bit of a graphic there about how it works. So your daily involves your whole team, and it should be involving everyone in your organisation. We do that at the start of the day. Believe it or not, on Zoom now, because we've got no other way of doing it because we're all remote. If we're in the office, we generally actually get around. We organise ourselves in the kitchen, and we go through the whole room and we go through what we're going to go through. And could be 15 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, it could be half an hour sometimes. On average, it's about just galvanising and organising your team, and not only for your team but also for them individually and yourself to actually know, well, what am I actually going to get through today. Like I said, the weekly team meeting, again, still happening. Haven't missed a beat, just because we're remote and we're in different locations. We just go online, and we've been doing it. Your quarterly and annual is probably more your business owners and your stakeholders, and you can filter down back to your team certain aspects. There's some aspects, I get it, you may not want to share every bit of financial information, but the quarterly and annual part is what strategically the key stakeholders should get together and review, and then organise the message back to the team. All right, I think we've got there's a poll there, Liam, just to sort of change it up a little bit and stop me talking. If you can put that up. I just want to know your meeting rhythms in your organisation. So is your meeting rhythm in your business and teams daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, a combination, none, I'm a sole trader and don't have a team, or none at all? So have a quick go at that. All right, Liam, let's see what's the results. Ooh, okay, wow, it's a combination. That's encouraging to see. So we get daily, weekly, and monthly. Yeah, interesting. There's a few out there that are sole traders. If you're a sole trader, I think I get it. If you don't have a team, that's fine. But maybe you might look at having external parties externally. Having people like either an accountant, or whether it's a business coach or a spouse, even, just to have a catch up either monthly or quarterly, just to sort of that virtual couch, just to sort of have a bit of a question and comment about what's happening in the business, so you can get some guidance and maybe some different ideas. Or
if I can just add to that, I think, like even just like what's the word, like-minded business owners, like sharing. I mean, look, we all go through our ups and downs. We all get flat at times, and I know when I'm on a high, I will ring Mark and have a bit of a conversation, and I'll also give him a buzz when I'm on a low as well. And you too, Michael. I think when you're a sole trader, I think you've got to surround yourself with some like-minded people to stay positive, and like, again, it's who you gel with, if I can say that. Like, it's definitely who you gel with. So if you can find some like-minded business owners, and you can use a coach 100%, but it's all about the positive mindset. You've got to, things are never bad for too long, right? And you've got to have that in your mind. But if you're not, if things aren't going right, then you've got to think about who can hold you accountable. If I can put that out there, who can hold you accountable, and to celebrate the wins with you as well as a sole trader, and also to help you when you're in a bit of a trench. I think sometimes, what's the word? Even when you've got staff, you can't share stuff with staff sometimes. So if you have that sounding board of somebody else to talk to, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a good segue into the next sort of area about accountability, Colin, and that's exactly right. Like-minded business owners can share the wins and the pain with you, and the war stories. If you haven't got anyone sort of in your business to sort of, or externally, to keep you on track. So, but accountability, it's not necessarily about being big stick whack. Why didn't you achieve this, or why did you do that in your business? It's more about just having some healthy, courageous conversation about what's going on in your business, what things did you try, and working together in partnership to try and find a way forward, or encouragement to sort of, hey, that works, let's do more of that. Why can't we do more of that? Or that didn't work, why don't we tweak it a bit, and we can do a little bit of marketing, whether it's expensive or low cost. In terms of, it should be something that's external, and also guide you through, to help you through to progress. It's not about just like I said, it's not about a big stick and just to say, why did you achieve things? It's not negative. It should be positive. It should be a positive experience. And Colin's experienced this. Mark's really good at sort of doing this as well. I think he's had a number of courageous conversations with some clients, not necessarily, and with some business partners where they may necessarily be aligned at that point in time, and that can happen. where your business partners are aligned at the start, and as things go along and potentially some stressful things happen, at that moment they might not be aligned on a few things, and it's about sort of bringing that alignment back, or again, just stepping back and having a look at the vision and coming back and say, what are we trying to achieve here? And that's a courageous conversation. It doesn't have to be a negative or abusive or angry. It's just about that virtual couch or a physical couch if you can, and airing out and trying to keep you accountable, to keep you on track, or do we need to reevaluate and adjust?
I think, Michael, look at what you're good at and what you're not good at. Go and find the people who are good at that and get them to help you. That's what builds a business. And I think you talked about the collaboration. I mean, this is a live proof of collaboration of two professional firms joining together and sharing some webinars that we've done over the last 18 months together. And now we're doing this today. So I think it's really, really good.
And, in these uncertain times, and I know it's a real old saying, and the terms pivot and all that kind of stuff. I get it. People are tired and weary of hearing all that kind of stuff, but there still needs to be an element of consistency. But we've obviously got to be adaptable. So by having your vision and your strategy, your values, your budgets, and your plans to execute and your accountability, you put that all in place, and you do the best you can, because otherwise, if you don't, many businesses will either go in a tailspin, or extremely lucky because they're in an industry that they don't need to do anything and they're successful. There's a small amount of those businesses. Don't hedge your bets on being one of those. I think have some level of consistency in your business, put an operating rhythm in place, a meeting rhythm, engagement of your team, and executing your strategy.
All right, Liam,